I bring him his coffee at 8:01, the way I have for 11 months, but this morning the cup trembles. Alperen Demir's gaze drops to my wrist, hardens into something ancient and unforgiving. As I turn to leave, I hear him lift his phone. One word, low and final. Now. By dawn, my ex-boyfriend will be erased from this city like vapor off the Bosphorus. The bruise is 3 days old, purple at the edges, yellow-green toward the center. A thumbprint fossil from when Burak grabbed me outside my building and told me I'd made him look small in front of his friends. As if his pride were my responsibility. As if I owed him anything after 6 months of freedom from his neediness, his accusations, his hands that knew exactly where to press so the marks wouldn't show at work. Except this one showed. I keep my face neutral as I set the porcelain cup on the leather pad to the right of his laptop. Exactly 2 inches from the edge, handle angled at 45 degrees, the way he likes it. Alperen Demir is a man of geometries. His desk is a study in right angles. His suits are cut to a hard precision that makes other men look like they're wearing costumes. Even his silence has architecture. He doesn't touch the coffee. His gaze stays on my wrist where the cuff of my blouse has ridden up 1/2 inch. I tug it down. Too late. His eyes lift to mine, dark, unreadable, the kind of eyes that belong to men who count ships in harbors and know exactly how many palms were greased to let them dock. Sood. My name in his mouth is always careful, formal. A boss addressing his secretary, but something in the air shifts, tightens. Like the moment before a fairy horn splits the morning. Evet, Alperen Bey. I keep my voice steady, professional. The same voice I use when his meeting runs long and I'm rearranging his schedule like a chess problem. He leans back in his chair, the leather sighs. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling glass frames the Bosphorus, a gray-blue sweep of water stitched with cargo ships and ferries. The Asian shore a hazy spine in the distance. His office is on the 19th floor of Demir Holdings. And from here, Istanbul looks like something you could own if you were patient enough, ruthless enough, to wait for every piece to align. Who, he asks, not what happened. Not are you all right. Just, who? My throat tightens. I should lie. I should say I caught it on a cabinet, a car door, something clumsy and forgettable. But Alperen Demir has spent 11 months teaching me that he doesn't ask questions unless he already knows the answer. He's testing me, or giving me a chance to tell the truth before he finds it himself. An X, I say quietly. It's handled. His jaw shifts. It's the only movement in his entire body, but it changes everything, like a fault line deciding which way to break. His name. It's not his name, Sood. The air in the office thickens. I can hear the distant hum of traffic from Maslak below, the faint rhythm of keyboards from the secretarial pool down the hall. My pulse is loud in my ears. This is dangerous. This is the moment I should smile and deflect and remind him that my personal life is a country he doesn't govern. But I'm so tired. Tired of Burak showing up at my building. Tired of his texts that veer between apologies and threats. Tired of looking over my shoulder on the ferry, of wondering if he'll escalate from bruises to something worse. Burak Arslan, I say. Alperen nods once. Then he picks up his phone, swipes, taps. I watch his thumb move, efficient, final. He lifts the phone to his ear. Now, he says. That's all. One word. Then he sets the phone down and looks at me like I'm a puzzle he's just solved. You can go, he says. I stand there for 3 heartbeats, trying to decode what just happened. His expression is unreadable again, back to the still, controlled mask he wears in meetings with ministers and Port Authority chiefs. But something in his posture has changed. His shoulders are looser, satisfied. I turn and walk out, my heels clicking against marble. And I don't let myself think about what now means until I'm back at my desk with the door closed between us. By the time I leave the office at 6, the sky over the Bosphorus is streaked with rust and violet. I take the elevator down to the underground garage, where my bus stop is a 5-minute walk through Maslak's glass canyons. But when the doors open, there's a man waiting. Not just any man, Erdem. One of Alperen's drivers. Tall, quiet, the kind of build that suggests military background and no interest in small talk. He's standing beside a black Mercedes, hands clasped in front of him. And when he sees me, he inclines his head. Sudahanam, he says. I'll take you home. I blink. I take the bus. Not tonight. There's no room for argument in his tone, but I try anyway. I didn't request a car. Alperen Bey did. Of course he did. My stomach twists, part unease, part something I don't want to name. I glance back at the elevator, considering my options. I could refuse. Walk past Erdem and out into the evening traffic. Catch the 59C like I always do. Let the city swallow me into anonymity. But Burak knows my route. Knows which stop I get off at. Which streets I walk down to reach the narrow apartment building in Üsküdar, where my mother and I share 4 rooms and a view of the neighbor's laundry line. I get in the car. The interior smells like leather and something faintly citrus. Bergamot, maybe. The seats are heated. Erdem pulls into traffic without a word, and I watch the city slide past the tinted windows. Brake lights pooling red on asphalt. Street vendors packing up their Simic carts. The first glow of apartment windows as the evening call to prayer echoes from a dozen minarets at once. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother. Will you pick up bread on the way home? I type back. Yes, Anne. Then I stare at the screen, waiting for something else. Waiting for Burak's name to appear. He texted me 17 times yesterday. Apologies, accusations, a photo of the restaurant where we had our first date with the caption, "Remember when you weren't a cold bitch?" Nothing comes. Erdem drives smoothly, anticipating lane changes, traffic lights. He doesn't speak, doesn't ask if I need to stop anywhere. But when we reach Üsküdar, he doesn't take me to my building. He drives past it, up a hill I've walked 100 times, and stops in front of a modern apartment complex with balconies that face the water. What? Alperen Bey asked me to show you something, Erdem says. He gets out. I follow because I don't know what else to do. We take the elevator to the 4th floor, and Erdem produces a key, opens a door. Inside is a 2-bedroom apartment that looks like it was staged for a magazine. Pale wood floors, furniture in soft grays and creams. A kitchen with marble counters and appliances that gleam like they've never been touched. And the windows, God, the windows. They frame the Bosphorus like a living painting. Ships gliding past. The lights of the Asian shore beginning to sparkle. The sky deepening to indigo. This is yours, Erdem says, if you want it. My mouth goes dry. I don't understand. Alperen Bey arranged it. First month is covered. After that, it's your decision. I turn in a slow circle, trying to parse this. The apartment is worth more than I make in 6 months, maybe a year. The location alone, Üsküdar waterfront, walking distance to the ferry, is out of reach for someone like me. Why, I ask? Erdem's expression doesn't change. You'll have to ask him. I don't ask him. Not that night, and not the next morning when I arrive at the office at 7:50 with his coffee and the financial brief he requested. I set the cup down with the same geometric precision, and I don't let my gaze linger on the way his cufflinks catch the light, or the line of his jaw when he's reading, or the fact that my wrist is bare of bruises today, and he noticed, I know he noticed, because his shoulders drop half an inch when I step back from the desk. The apartment, I say, before I lose my nerve. He looks up. Yes? I can't accept it. Why not? Because it's too much. Because I don't know what it costs, not in rent, but in the invisible currency men like him deal in. Because safety that arrives without asking feels like a trap, and I've spent 2 years teaching myself to distrust easy answers. I have a lease, I say instead. Break it. My mother will be more comfortable with reliable plumbing and windows that lock. He's not wrong. Our building in Üsküdar is old. The kind of old that means cracked tiles and radiators that clang all winter and a landlord who hasn't fixed the roof leak in 3 years. But it's mine, ours, the only place Burak doesn't have a key to. Except now Burak doesn't have anything. The thought arrives cold and certain. I haven't heard from him in 24 hours. No texts, no calls, no appearance outside my building at dawn, the way he did last week. Shouting at my window until my mother threatened to call the police. What did you do? I ask quietly. Alperen sets down the brief, leans back, studies me with the same focus he uses when reviewing contracts, looking for the weak point, the place where pressure will yield the result he wants. I made sure he understands the consequences of marking what doesn't belong to him. What doesn't belong to him. The phrasing lodges in my chest like a stone. I'm no one's possession, not Burak's, I'm not yours, I say. His gaze doesn't waver. No, but you're under my protection now. That means different rules. I didn't ask for protection. You didn't have to. The air between us hums with something I don't have a name for. It's not anger, not quite. It's heavier than that, dense and magnetic. The kind of pull that makes you lean forward even when you know you should step back. I can feel the heat of it in my throat, my wrists, the base of my spine. I should walk out. I should tell him to keep his apartment and his drivers and his consequences. That I'm not a problem he gets to solve with logistics and intimidation. But I'm still here, still standing in front of his desk with my pulse hammering and my thoughts tangled around one terrible, traitorous question. When did I start breathing easier when he's near? The rules arrive over the next 3 days, like weather I didn't predict. A new phone appears on my desk. Slim, expensive, preloaded with numbers I don't recognize. When I try to add my own contacts, I find the list is locked. Only a dozen names. My mother, my best friend Alif, the main office line, and his, Alperen Demir. At the top, marked with a single star. Erdem drives me to work and home again. In the mornings, he's already waiting when I come downstairs from the apartment I still haven't agreed to keep. In the evenings, he's in the garage before I reach the elevator. I try varying my schedule, leaving early, staying late. But he adjusts with the same quiet efficiency, as if my routines are data he's already compiled. On the third day, I find a tulip-shaped tea glass on my desk. Delicate, hand-painted, filled with strong black tea that's still steaming. I didn't order tea. I didn't ask for it. But it's there at 10 a.m., exactly when I usually take my break. And when I lift it to my lips, the temperature is perfect. I walk into Alperen's office without knocking. He's on a call, but he looks up when I enter. His eyes track the tea glass in my hand. Then flick to my face. He murmurs something in Turkish to whoever's on the line, something about port schedules and customs delays, and ends the call. You can't do this, I say. Do what? Arrange my life? The apartment? The driver? I lift the glass. The tea that appears like you've mapped my nervous system. His mouth doesn't smile, but something in his eyes shifts. Amusement, maybe, or satisfaction. You're welcome. I didn't thank you. I noticed. I set the glass down on his desk, harder than I intend. Tea sloshes against the rim. I don't need saving. No, he agrees. You need infrastructure. That's not, you work 14-hour days. You take 3 buses and a ferry to get here. You stay late to finish translations I don't ask for because you think competence is armor. He stands, and the movement is unhurried. Controlled, a predator deciding whether to close distance or let the prey come to him. You're exhausted, Sood, and now you don't have to be. He's right. I hate that he's right. I hate that the apartment is 10 minutes from the office, that the bed is soft and the water pressure is a revelation, that I slept through the night for the first time in months because the windows actually lock and no one knows I'm there except the man standing 3 feet away, watching me with eyes that catalog everything I don't say. What do you want from me, I ask. The question lands between us like a coin spinning on its edge. His gaze drops to my mouth, just for a second, and my breath catches. Then he looks away, out at the Bosphorus, at the ships cutting slow lines through the water. And when he speaks, his voice is lower, rougher. I want you safe. Why? Because you're mine to protect. There it is. The claim I've been waiting for, spoken aloud. Not I care about you, not I'm worried. Just the cold, possessive arithmetic of a man who sees a threat to something in his sphere and neutralizes it. I should be angry. I should walk out and find a way to break whatever invisible leash he's fastened around my routines. But my body isn't listening. My body has already noticed the way he stands when I enter a room. Shoulders angled toward me, spine straight, like he's calculating exit routes and threat vectors in real time. My body has memorized the cadence of his voice when he says my name, the way his cuff brushes my wrist when he hands me a file, the faint scent of his cologne, cedar and something darker, almost smoky, that clings to the air after he's gone. My body is a traitor, and it's been whispering one thing for weeks. Safer. You feel safer when he's near. I don't disappear, I say, and my voice cracks on the last word. His gaze snaps back to mine. For a moment, I see something raw in his expression, something that looks like understanding, or memory, or both. "No," he says quietly. "You don't. Not anymore." That night, I stay late to finish a contract review. The office empties floor by floor until it's just the hum of the HVAC and the distant groan of the elevator. I'm on page 43 of a shipping manifest when I hear his door open. Alperin crosses the hall to my desk. He's taken off his jacket, rolled his sleeves to the elbow. I can see the muscle and tendon of his forearms, the faint scar near his wrist that I've never asked about. "Go home. Sude." "I'm almost done." "Erdem is waiting. I can take the ferry." "No." I look up. His jaw is tight, and there's something in his stance, tension coiled just beneath the surface, that makes me think of the word now spoken into a phone 3 days ago. "What happened to Burak?" I ask. He doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. "He's no longer your problem." That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. I stand, and we're close now, closer than we've been since the morning he fastened my cuff over the bruise. I can feel the heat of him, the solid weight of his presence, and my pulse jumps at the base of my throat. He notices. Of course he notices. His gaze drops to the flutter of my heartbeat, and his pupils dilate. "Did you hurt him?" I whisper. "No." "Then what?" "I erased him." His voice is soft, final. His apartment lease is broken. His phone number is dead. The gym where he works has a new manager who's never heard of him. He has a one-way ticket to Antalya and enough cash to start over somewhere that isn't here. I stare at him. "You can't just—" "I can. I did. That's efficient." My breath comes shallow. I should be horrified. I should be cataloging this as proof that Alperin Demir is exactly what people whisper he is. A man who moves pieces on a board no one else can see, who solves problems with money and pressure and a kind of ruthless competence that makes governments nervous. But all I can think is, Burak is gone. I'm free. And then, worse, I liked it. I liked watching him decide I was worth protecting. Alperin's hand lifts, slowly, carefully, like he's approaching something wild. His fingers brush my jaw, tilt my face up to his. His thumb traces the line of my cheekbone, and the touch is so gentle it makes my eyes sting. "You don't disappear," he says, echoing my words from this morning. "Not on my watch. I can't breathe, can't move." His mouth is inches from mine, and I can feel the warmth of his exhale against my lips. My hands are fists at my sides, nails digging into my palms, because if I move, if I let myself lean into him, I'll be lost. "Alperin, go home, Sichem." The word lands like a match to dry wood. Sichem, his flower. Delicate, claimed, protected. I pull back, break the circuit, and his hand drops. "I'm not your flower," I say. His smile is faint, dangerous. "We'll see." Erdem drives me home in silence. The apartment is dark when I unlock the door, and I stand in the center of the living room, surrounded by furniture I didn't choose and a view I didn't earn. And I try to remember who I was before Alperin Demir decided I needed saving. I was careful, controlled. A woman who timed her commute to avoid crowds, who kept her head down and her resume spotless, who learned early that the safest way to move through the world was to make yourself small and unthreatening and easy to overlook. I was a woman who disappeared into routines, into the background noise of the city, and now I'm standing in an apartment that gleams like a promise, my phone buzzing with a single text. Sleep well, no name, no signature, but I know who it's from. I look out at the Bosphorus, at the lights of the ships, the ferries cutting their slow paths between continents, and I think about the way his thumb felt against my cheek. The way my body leaned toward his before my brain could stop it. I think about the word now, and what it cost to make Burak vanish. I think about iron wrapped in silk, and whether I'll know the difference before it's too late. Then I text back, "Good night," and I tell myself it doesn't mean anything. The morning routine calcifies into something I can't name. Erdem arrives at 7:30. I'm already dressed, blouse pressed, hair smoothed into a low bun, the same armor I've worn for 11 months. Except now the apartment behind me smells like bergamot from the diffuser that appeared on the kitchen counter 3 days ago. Another gift I didn't ask for. another detail he noticed and solved. The drive to Maslak takes 12 minutes. Erdem knows which streets to avoid, which lights to time. He doesn't speak unless I speak first. And I've stopped trying. The silence is easier than acknowledging what's happening. That my life is being curated, optimized, wrapped in logistics so smooth I barely feel the constraint until I try to push against it. I bring Alperin his coffee at 8:01. He looks up from his laptop, and his gaze does the same inventory it's done every morning since the bruise. Wrists, throat, the set of my shoulders. Checking for damage. Cataloging my safety like it's data he's contractually obligated to track. Good morning, I say. Günaydın, Sude. His voice is smoke and gravel, and it does something to my spine. Loosens it, warms it, makes me want to stay in his office longer than necessary. I set the coffee down, 2 inches from the edge. Handle at 45 degrees. He wraps his hand around the cup, and I watch his fingers, long, blunt. The kind of hands that sign contracts and break men without ever raising their voice. Stop memorizing his hands, I tell myself. I don't stop. Meeting at 10 with the Port Authority, I say, pulling up my tablet. Lunch with the Kanolu representative at 1. I moved your 4 o'clock to tomorrow. There's a shipping delay in Izmir you'll want to handle personally. Good. He takes a sip of coffee, eyes still on me. How did you sleep? The question is casual, mundane, the kind of thing a boss might ask to fill silence. But the way he asks it, low, focused, makes it feel like an interrogation. Fine, I lie. I slept terribly. I spent 2 hours staring at the ceiling, thinking about the way his thumb had traced my cheekbone. The heat of his body when we stood too close, the word chichim curling around my ribs like smoke. I touched my own face in the dark, trying to recreate the pressure of his hand, and hated myself for it. He nods, like he knows I'm lying, but won't push. Not yet. Kanolu meeting, he says. I want you in the room. I blink. You never. I do now. It's not a request. It's a reassignment of my role, a shift in the architecture of how we work together. Normally, I prepare his briefs and wait outside while he negotiates. I take notes afterward, manage follow-up. I am efficient and invisible. He's making me visible. Why, I ask. His gaze is steady, unreadable. Because I want them to see what's mine. The possessive lands between us again, and this time I don't fight it. I just nod and leave before I can do something stupid. Like ask him what he means. Like ask him if he knows that every time he says mine, my pulse kicks and my thoughts spiral into dangerous territory. What if I liked it? What if I wanted to be his, just for a moment, just to see what it feels like to be claimed by someone who could burn the world down to keep me safe? I sit at my desk and pull up the Kanolu file. Rivals. Old money, legitimate on the surface. But everyone knows they're the reason 3 port contracts went sideways last year. They deal in leverage and scandal, not violence. They ruin reputations, not bodies. I think about Burak's one-way ticket to Antalya, about how easily Alperin erased him. I think about what the Kanolu family might do if they knew I was more than just a secretary. The meeting is in a restaurant on the European side, one of those places with white tablecloths and waiters who move like ghosts. Erdem drives us in silence, and I sit in the back seat beside Alperin, close enough that I can smell cedar and smoke, feel the heat of him through his suit jacket. He's on his phone, typing in rapid Turkish. I watch his profile, the hard line of his jaw, the faint shadow of stubble, the way his brow furrows when he's calculating something. He's beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful, sharp, purposeful, designed to cut. Stop staring, I tell myself. His thumb pauses mid-swipe. He turns his head, catches me watching. His mouth doesn't smile, but something in his eyes shifts. Awareness, heat, the faintest edge of satisfaction. Something on your mind, he asks. Yes, you. The way you dismantled my ex-boyfriend like he was a logistics problem. The way you look at me like I'm something fragile and fierce at the same time. The way I can't stop thinking about your hands. Just reviewing the brief, I say. Liar. The word is soft, almost affectionate, and it makes my stomach flip. Before I can respond, Erdem pulls up to the restaurant. Alperin gets out first, then offers me his hand. I take it, his palm warm and rough against mine, and let him help me out of the car. He doesn't let go right away. His thumb brushes the inside of my wrist, just once, and I feel it everywhere. Inside, the Kanolu representative is already waiting. Denny's Kanolu, mid-40s, expensively tailored, the kind of smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He stands when we approach, and his gaze slides over me, assessing, dismissive. Alperen Bey, he says, extending a hand. And this is? Sude Yilmaz, Alperen says. My secretary. The word secretary is flat, neutral, but there's something underneath it. A warning, maybe, or a claim. Deniz's smile sharpens. Charmed, he says. But he's already turning back to Alperen, already writing me off as decoration. We sit. The waiter brings water, wine, bread. Deniz talks about shipping routes and customs delays, his voice smooth and practiced. Alperen listens, nods, asks precise questions that peel back layers of bullshit until the real proposal is visible. The Kaanolu family wants a piece of Demir's port access in exchange for favorable press and political cover. Insurance, Deniz calls it, against reputation risks. Alperen's expression doesn't change. I don't need insurance, I have contracts. Contracts can be complicated, especially when the wrong story reaches the wrong ears. It's a threat wrapped in silk, and I feel Alperen's energy shift beside me, not anger, but something colder, more final. What story? He asks. Deniz's gaze flicks to me, just for a second, and my blood goes cold. He knows something, or thinks he does. Just making sure we understand each other, Deniz says. Reputation is fragile. One headline, one photograph, and even the best contracts can collapse. Alperen leans back in his chair. His hand finds the stem of his wine glass, and I watch his fingers curl around it, controlled, deliberate. I appreciate the concern, he says, but I'm not interested. Deniz's smile freezes. Perhaps you should take some time to reconsider. I don't need time. I need you to finish your wine and leave. The air at the table crystallizes. Deniz's jaw tightens, but he stands, smooths his jacket. He looks at me one more time, longer this time, pointed, and then he's gone. Alperen doesn't move, doesn't speak. Just stares at the space where Deniz was sitting, his expression carved from stone. He knows about me, I say quietly. Not yet, but he's fishing. What does that mean? He turns to look at me, and the heat in his gaze is different now, sharper, more dangerous. It means we need to be careful. Careful how? It means you don't go anywhere without Erdem. It means you don't vary your routine. It means... He stops, jaw working. It means I need you to trust me. I stare at him. Trust. The word is too big, too loaded. Trust means handing over control. Trust means believing that the cage he's building is for my protection, not his convenience. I don't know how, I admit. His hand moves, fast, decisive, and suddenly his fingers are laced with mine on the table. The touch is electric, grounding, and my breath stutters in my chest. Learn, he says. The days blur together, mornings in his office, evenings in the apartment with the Bosphorus glowing like a promise I don't know how to keep. Erdem drives me everywhere. Elif texts me less. She's noticed something's changed, but I don't know how to explain it. My boss erased my ex-boyfriend and gave me an apartment, and now I can't stop thinking about the way his voice sounds when he calls me to Cem. I throw myself into work. Translations, contracts, scheduling. I stay late, leave early, trying to outrun the way my body hums when Alperen is near. But he's always there, at the edge of my vision. In the scent that clings to the files he hands me. In the text messages that arrive at random hours. Erdem says you're working late. Go home. Did you eat? Sleep side. Commands disguised as care. And the worst part is, I obey. Because when I don't, he shows up. He walks into my office at midnight with a bag of food from the place in Beşiktaş I mentioned once, 3 months ago. And he doesn't leave until I eat in front of him. You're not my keeper, I tell him. No, he agrees. But you're mine to protect. It's becoming a refrain, a mantra. And every time he says it, the iron around my life tightens and the traitorous warmth in my chest grows. The storm comes on a Thursday. Not metaphorical, an actual storm that rolls in off the Black Sea, and turns the Bosphorus into hammered steel. The office empties early, everyone fleeing before the ferries stop running, but I stay. I have a contract review due, and Alperin is in back-to-back calls with suppliers in Izmir, his voice sharp and clipped through the closed door of his office. By 7, the power flickers. By 8, it's gone. Emergency lighting kicks in, dim, cold, casting long shadows across the empty floor. I save my work, close my laptop, and stand. The windows are black mirrors now, rain streaming down in sheets, and the city below is a blur of brake lights and flickering street lamps. Alperen's door opens. He's in shirt sleeves, tie loosened, hair slightly mussed from running his hand through it. He looks tired, human, and when he sees me still at my desk, something in his expression softens. "You should be home," he says. "Ferries are stopped. Erdem's not answering. Roads are flooded. He's stuck in Kadıköy." We stand there in the half-light, rain drumming against the glass, and the air between us feels different, thinner, like the storm has stripped away some layer of formality we've been hiding behind. "I'll wait it out," I say. "You'll stay here." Alperin. My office has a couch and backup power for the coffee machine. He's not asking, he's deciding. And I'm too tired to fight, so I follow him into his office. The view from his windows is apocalyptic. Rain and wind and the dark slash of the Bosphorus barely visible through the storm. He closes the door behind us, and suddenly the space feels smaller, warmer. He makes coffee, real coffee, from the espresso machine in the corner that I've only ever seen him use. He hands me a cup, and our fingers brush. The contact jolts through me, and I see it register in his eyes. The same heat, the same awareness. "Sit," he says, nodding toward the couch. I sit. He takes the chair across from me, and for a long moment, we just drink coffee and listen to the rain. It should be awkward. It should feel like crossing a line. But instead, it feels like the first honest moment we've had since the morning he saw the bruise. "Why are you doing this?" I ask. He doesn't pretend not to understand. "I told you, you're mine to protect." That's not an answer. He sets down his cup, leans forward, elbows on his knees, and for the first time since I've known him, he looks unsure. "When I was 17, he says quietly, my cousin, Elif, my uncle's daughter, got involved with the wrong person, a rival's son. It wasn't violent, it was worse. They ruined her, leaked photos, spread rumors, destroyed her engagement, her reputation. My uncle sent her to live in Germany. She never came back." I watch his face, the way his jaw tightens, the way his hands curl into fists. "I was supposed to protect her," he continues. "I was family. I was supposed to see it coming. I didn't. And by the time I did, it was too late to fix without blood. So they fixed it the other way. They erased her instead." His gaze lifts to mine, and it's raw, unguarded. "I made a promise then," he says. "What is mine will never be marked or moved again, not without consequences." The words settle in my chest like stones. This isn't about control. It's about a wound that never healed, a failure he spent years trying to correct. "I'm not your cousin," I say softly. "No? But you're in my sphere now, and I won't let you vanish the way she did." I should be angry. I should tell him that I'm not a proxy for his guilt, that I don't need a savior with a tragic backstory. But all I can think is, he sees me, and he decided I was worth protecting. And maybe that's the most dangerous thing of all. "What if I want to vanish?" I whisper. His eyes darken. "You don't. How do you know?" "Because you're still here." He's right. I'm still here. Still sitting in his office at night, drinking his coffee, letting him orbit my life until I can't remember what it felt like before him. The lights flicker, once, twice. Then the backup system kicks in fully, and the room brightens. But neither of us moves. "Sood," he says, and his voice is rough. "Come here." It's not a command. It's a question, an invitation. I should stay on the couch. I should keep the distance between us, keep the safety of separation. But my body doesn't listen. My body stands, crosses the 3 feet of space, stops in front of his chair. He looks up at me, and I see the control fracturing in real time, the way his breath comes faster, the way his hands grip the armrest like he's restraining himself. "I can't stop thinking about you," I admit. Good, he says, because I think about you constantly. His hand lifts, slowly, carefully. His palm cups the side of my face, and I lean into it without thinking. His thumb brushes my cheekbone, the corner of my mouth, and I close my eyes. Tell me to stop, he murmurs. I open my eyes. I can't. He stands, and suddenly we're so close I can feel the heat radiating off him. His other hand finds my waist, and the touch is firm, possessive, like he's grounding both of us. This is a bad idea, I whisper. I know. I'll regret it. Probably. Then why? He kisses me. It's not gentle. It's not tentative. It's a claim, a negotiation, a surrender. His mouth is hot and sure, and I open for him without hesitation. His hand tightens on my waist, pulling me closer, and I fist my hands in his shirt because if I don't hold on to something, I'll shatter. I've been kissed before, by boys who tasted like cheap beer and impatience, by Burak, who kissed like he was entitled to my mouth. This is different. This is a kiss that rewrites everything I thought I knew about wanting. Alperen kisses like he does everything else, with precision, control, and an intensity that makes me forget where I am. His hand slides into my hair, tilting my head back, and I gasp against his mouth. He takes the sound, swallows it, gives me his breath in return. My back hits the glass window. The cold shocks through my blouse, but his body is furnace hot against my front. One of his hands braces beside my head, caging me in, and I should feel trapped. I should push him away. Instead, I pull him closer. His mouth moves to my jaw, my throat. His teeth graze the pulse point below my ear, and I bite back a moan. My hands are in his hair now, tugging, and when he groans low in his chest, the sound vibrates through me. Sood, he breathes against my neck. Tell me to stop. Don't stop. His forehead drops to mine. Our breath mingles, ragged and uneven. His hand is still in my hair, the other pressed flat against the glass beside my head, and I can feel him shaking, not from fear, from restraint. If I don't stop now, then don't, but he does. He pulls back, just an inch, and the loss of contact makes me want to scream. His eyes are dark, pupils blown, and his mouth is swollen from kissing me. Not like this, he says roughly. Not in an office during a storm. You deserve better. I don't care about better. I care about, I know. His thumb strokes my cheek. Gentle now, devastating. But I do. He steps back. The air between us feels like a wound. My lips are swollen, my hair is a mess, and I can still feel the imprint of his hands on my waist. Go home, Sichem, he says. The ferries? I'll drive you myself. He does. We don't speak on the drive. The rain has softened to a drizzle, and the city looks washed clean. He parks outside the apartment, walks me to the door, and when I turn to say goodnight, he cups my face in both hands and kisses my forehead. Sleep, he says. Then he's gone. I stand in the empty apartment, touching my mouth, and I think, I liked it. I open the door, and now I don't know how to close it. The next morning, there's a tulip on my desk. A real one, deep red, in a simple glass vase. No note, no explanation. But I know who it's from. I pick it up, bring it to my nose, and inhale. The petals are soft, perfect. And when I look up, Alperen is watching me from his office doorway. Our eyes lock. Neither of us speaks. But the air between us hums with everything we didn't say last night. And I know, with absolute certainty, that this isn't over. It's only just begun. The tulip wilts over 5 days, petals curling inward like secrets. I don't throw it away. I watch it die on my desk. And every morning when I arrive, there's a fresh one waiting. Red. Always red. Always in the same simple glass vase. We don't talk about the kiss. We work. We orbit each other with the same precision we always have. But now there's a new frequency humming underneath. Something raw and unresolved that makes every accidental touch feel like a match strike. When he hands me a file, his fingers linger. When I pour his coffee, he watches my hands like he's memorizing them. When we pass in the hallway, the air between us thickens, and I have to remind myself to breathe. Stop wanting him, I tell myself. My body laughs at the command. Elif notices. Of course she notices. We meet for tea on Sunday at a cafe in Moda, and she studies me over the rim of her glass, sharp-eyed, suspicious. You look different, she says. I cut my hair. You cut half an inch. That's not what I mean. She leans forward. You look, I don't know, polished, expensive. I glance down at my clothes. The blouse is new, cream silk, purchased last week because the ones I owned suddenly felt threadbare, insufficient. The watch on my wrist is delicate, rose gold. A gift that appeared on my desk with a note. You're always on time. Now you'll look it. I told myself I'd return it. I'm still wearing it. Work's been good, I say vaguely. Work, right? Elif's smile sharpens. Does work have a name? My throat tightens. It's not like that. Sood, I've known you for 6 years. You don't do polished. You don't do expensive. And you definitely don't do that thing you're doing right now, where you touch your mouth every time you think I'm not looking. My hand drops from my lips. Traitor. It's complicated, I say. Is it your boss? I don't answer, which is answer enough. Elif's eyes widen. Sood, Alperen Demir, the man who owns half the Bosphorus and probably has a body count. He doesn't, I stop. Because I don't actually know. I know what he did to Burak. I know he made a man vanish with one phone call. I know he moves through the world with the kind of power that bends infrastructure and silences rivals. I don't know what else he's capable of. He's been kind to me, I say quietly. Kind. Elif sets down her glass. Soodi, men like that aren't kind. They're strategic. The word lands like a slap. Strategic. Calculated. Everything he's done, the apartment, the driver, the protection, refracted through a different lens. Not care, but control. Not safety, but possession. I should go, I say, standing. Sood, wait. But I'm already walking out, the cold November air biting at my skin, and I don't let myself think about the fact that she might be right. The unraveling starts on a Tuesday. I arrive at the office at 7:50, the same as always, but there's a tension in the air, something off, discordant. The security guard at the front desk doesn't meet my eyes. The elevator ride feels too long. And when I step onto our floor, I see them. 2 men in dark suits, standing outside Alperen's office, talking in low, clipped voices. One of them is Deniz Kanolu. My stomach drops. I walk to my desk, set down my bag, and try to look busy. But I'm listening, straining to hear fragments of conversation through the half-open door. Reputation risks. Photographs. Reconsider the terms. Alperen's voice cuts through, cold and final. The answer is still no. Then we'll move forward without your cooperation. A pause. Then Deniz and his companion walk out. Deniz sees me at my desk and smiles, sharp, knowing, the smile of a man holding a knife behind his back. Suda Hanım, he says. Lovely to see you again. I don't respond. He doesn't wait for one. He just walks to the elevator and the doors close on his satisfied expression. Alperen appears in his doorway. Sude, inside. I stand. Walk into his office. He closes the door behind me and the sound is too loud, too final. What did he want, I ask. The same thing he wanted last time. Leverage. And? His jaw tightens. He has it. Cold floods my veins. What do you mean? Alperen crosses to his desk, pulls up his laptop, turns the screen toward me. It's a gossip site. One of those tabloid pages that thrives on scandal and speculation. And there, at the top, is a photograph. It's me and Alperen, leaving the office together. His hand is on my lower back, guiding me toward the car, and the angle makes it look intimate, possessive. The headline reads, Demir heirs secret. Billionaire's secretary moves into luxury apartment. My breath stops. The article is poison dressed as journalism. It implies I'm his mistress, that the apartment, the car, the lifestyle, all of it was payment for services rendered. It doesn't say the word prostitute, but it doesn't have to. The insinuation is clear. They're going to run this everywhere, Alperen says quietly. Every outlet the Kanolu family has influence over. By noon, it'll be the top story in Istanbul. I stare at the screen, at my own face, frozen in a moment I didn't know was being documented. I look happy in the photo, relaxed, like I belong in his orbit. They're using me, I whisper. Yes. To get to you. Yes, I turned to face him. You knew this could happen. His silence is answer enough. You knew, I repeat. And my voice is shaking now. You knew and you did it anyway. The apartment, the driver, I gesture wildly. The everything. You made me visible, and you knew what it would cost. Sood. You used me. No. He steps closer and I step back. I protected you. This isn't protection. I choke on the word. This is ownership. You arranged my life like I was furniture, and now I'm a headline. A scandal. My mother is going to see this. Elif is going to see this. Everyone I've ever worked with is going to think My throat closes. I can't finish the sentence. Can't say the words aloud. Alperen's expression is carved from stone. I'll fix it. How? You can't unring a bell. You can't erase a photograph. I can discredit the source. You can't fix this, my voice breaks. You can't fix me. I'm not Burak. I'm not a logistics problem you can solve with money and pressure. I'm a person, and you... Tears blur my vision. You forgot to ask if I wanted to be saved. The silence that follows is thick, suffocating. Alperen stares at me like I've slapped him, and maybe I have. Maybe I finally said the thing he's been avoiding since the morning he saw the bruise. That protection without consent is just another kind of cage. I'm sorry, he says, and his voice is rough, raw. You thought you knew what was best for me. You thought you could decide. I wipe my eyes. Every kindness was architecture. Every gesture was a brick in a wall I didn't ask you to build. Sood, please. I need to go. Where? Anywhere that isn't here. Anywhere I can breathe without tasting cedar and smoke. Anywhere I can think without his voice in my head. His hands on my skin. His mouth against mine. Away, I say. I walk out of his office, past my desk, past the tulip that's starting to wilt, into the elevator, and I don't look back. I don't go to the apartment. I can't. It's his space, his gift, his trap. Instead, I take the ferry to Üsküdar, walk to my old building, and stand outside staring at the cracked tiles and peeling paint. My mother's window is on the 3rd floor, curtains drawn. She doesn't know yet, but she will. By tonight, the whole neighborhood will know. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. You think you're special. You're just the latest toy. Then another. How much does he pay you per night? Then another. Whore. I turn off my phone. Sit on the curb. Let the cold seep through my jeans and into my bones. This is what I get for wanting. For letting myself believe that a man like Alperen Demir could see me as anything other than a problem to solve or a possession to guard. This is what I get for forgetting that love arrives with reasons and leaves with bruises, even if the bruises are invisible, even if they're inflicted with silk and safety and words like Tichame. I was the girl who disappeared, and then I let him pull me into the light, and now everyone can see me. Now everyone can judge me. I sit there until the call to prayer echoes from the minaret down the street, until the sky turns the color of ash, until my mother's voice cuts through the haze. Sood? What are you doing out here? I look up. She's standing in the doorway, wrapped in a cardigan, her face creased with worry. Anne, I whisper, and the word breaks something open inside me. She pulls me to my feet, leads me upstairs, sits me at the kitchen table and makes tea, strong, black, too sweet. She doesn't ask about the article, doesn't mention the rumors. She just sets the glass in front of me and waits. I made a mistake, I say finally. What kind of mistake? I let someone in. I let him make me feel safe. And now, I gesture vaguely, now I'm paying for it. My mother is quiet for a long moment. Then she reaches across the table and takes my hand. Sood, you've been careful your whole life. You've worked hard, kept your head down, made yourself small so no one could hurt you. And where has it gotten you? I stare at her. What? I'm proud of you, you know that. But I've watched you shrink yourself for years, and it's broken my heart. She squeezes my hand. Maybe this man made mistakes. Maybe he moved too fast, took too much control. But at least he saw you. At least he tried to keep you safe. He used me, Anne. Did he? Or did he love you the only way he knows how? The question sits between us like a stone in still water. Love. I haven't let myself think the word. Haven't let myself imagine that what Alperin feels is anything more than possession, obligation, guilt over a cousin he couldn't save. But the way he kissed me, the way he said my name, the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. I don't know, I whisper. Then maybe you should ask him. I don't ask him. Instead, I turn my phone back on and find 43 missed calls, 12 voicemails, 67 text messages. Most are vicious, strangers calling me names, telling me I'm a disgrace, that I deserve whatever's coming. But buried in the noise are 3 messages from Alperin. I'm sorry. Please let me fix this. Come back. I delete them. All of them. Then I text Elif. You were right. I'm sorry. Her response is immediate. Where are you? My mother's. Stay there. I'm coming. She arrives an hour later with wine and fury. We sit on my mother's worn couch, and I tell her everything. The bruise, the erasure, the apartment, the kiss, the photograph, the unraveling. When I finish, Elif is quiet for a long time. Then she says, he's an idiot. That's it? He's an idiot who loves you and doesn't know how to say it without also controlling you, which makes him dangerous. She pours more wine. But you already knew that. I did. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? I look out the window at the darkening sky, at the city sprawling below. Somewhere out there, Alperin is in his glass office, staring at the Bosphorus, calculating his next move. Somewhere, the Kanolu family is watching the scandal spread, waiting to see if I'll break. Somewhere, Burak is in Antalya, erased and irrelevant. And I'm here, still visible, still breathing. I don't know, I say, but even as I say it, I feel the first ember of something ignite in my chest. Not anger, not resignation, defiance. I do not disappear. The messages escalate over the next 2 days. Screenshots of the article sent to my personal email. Comments on social media from people I went to school with. People I haven't spoken to in years. All of them eager to weigh in on my supposed moral failure. A former colleague messages me. Always knew you'd sleep your way to the top. I block them, all of them. But the damage is done. I can feel the weight of their judgment pressing down on me, suffocating me, turning me back into the girl who learned to disappear. On the 3rd day, my mother's landlord calls. There's been a complaint from another tenant about unsavory associations. He's sorry, but he's going to need us to vacate by the end of the month. I hang up, stare at the wall, and I realize this is the Kanolu endgame. They're not just smearing me. They're dismantling my life, piece by piece, until I have nothing left to stand on. They're making me vanish. My phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something, instinct, curiosity, desperation, makes me pick up. Sood, Burak's voice. Thin, nervous, but unmistakably his. My blood turns to ice. How did you get this number? Doesn't matter. Listen, I'm in trouble. The people who sent me away, they're asking questions. About you, about Demir. They want me to. He stops, swallows audibly. They want me to testify. About us, about the bruise. There's nothing to testify about. I know, but they're offering me money, a lot of money, and if I don't, his voice drops. If I don't, they're going to make sure I can't work anywhere. Not here, not in Istanbul, nowhere. I close my eyes. This is it. The final trap. They have Burak. They have my mother's housing. They have a photograph and a narrative and the weight of public opinion. They have everything. What do you want, Burak? I want you to know I'm sorry for everything, but I'm going to do it. I have to. He hangs up. I sit in the silence and I think, this is what disappearing feels like. This is what it feels like to be erased. And then I think, no, I call Alperin. He answers on the first ring. Sude, they have Burak, I say. They're going to use him against you, against us. I know. You know? I've been tracking it. They approached him 2 days ago. He's been stalling, but they're increasing pressure. Of course he knows. Of course he's been watching, calculating, preparing his countermove. What are you going to do, I ask. There's a long pause. Then, what do you want me to do? The question catches me off guard. He's asking, for the first time since this started. He's asking for my consent, my permission, my choice. I want them to stop, I say. I want my mother's housing secure. I want Burak left alone, and my voice cracks. I want my life back. Then come back to me, he says quietly. Let me finish this. How? The way I should have from the beginning. Legally, publicly, with you beside me, not behind me. My heart hammers. That's not protection, that's partnership, he finishes. If you'll have it. The word hangs in the air between us, fragile, dangerous, honest. I'm scared, I admit. I know, so am I. Of what? Of losing you, of watching you vanish the way everyone else I couldn't protect did. His voice drops to a whisper. Sichem, I know I built a cage, but I'm giving you the key, stay or go. But if you stay, if you stay, I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you know you chose it. That you chose me, not the safety, not the iron, me. I close my eyes, think about the kiss, the tulips, the way he looked at me in the storm. I think about Elif's words, he's an idiot who loves you. I think about my mother, at least he tried to keep you safe. And I think about myself, standing in the cold outside my old building, choosing between disappearing again or planting my feet and fighting. I need one thing from you first, I say. Anything. Promise me you'll never make a decision about my life without asking me first. Promise me you'll see me as a partner, not a problem. Promise me. My voice shakes. Promise me I won't lose myself. I promise, he says. And I hear the weight of the vow in every syllable. Sudi, I swear to you, never again. I exhale, long and slow. Then finish it, I say, and I'll come back. He comes for me at dawn, not Erdem, not a driver. Alperen himself, standing outside my mother's building in a charcoal suit that looks like it cost more than our yearly rent. His hands in his pockets. His expression unreadable. The sky behind him is that particular shade of gray-blue that belongs to Istanbul mornings. Soft, forgiving, the city still half asleep. I see him from the window. My mother sees him too. That's him, she asks. Yes. She studies him for a long moment. This man who dismantled my ex-boyfriend, who gave me an apartment and a cage in the same breath, who kissed me like I was air and he was drowning. He looks like he hasn't slept, she observes. She's right. Even from 3 floors up, I can see the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. He looks like a man who's spent the last 72 hours at war with himself. Go, my mother says, before he starts pacing. Men like that don't know how to wait gracefully. I grab my coat, take the stairs 2 at a time, push through the building's front door and stop 3 feet from him. We stare at each other. The street is quiet except for the distant rumble of morning traffic, the call of gulls circling over the water. His gaze moves over me, cataloging, assessing, checking for damage the way he always does. But this time, there's something else in his eyes. Uncertainty, fear. You came, I say. You called. I thought you'd send Erdem. This isn't something I delegate. He takes a step closer, then another. Close enough that I can see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes, the shadow of stubble on his jaw. Sud, I need you to understand something. What? I've spent 3 days dismantling the Kanolu leverage piece by piece. I've hired auditors, lawyers, forensic accountants. I've called in favors from ministers and port authorities and people who owe me things they'd rather not discuss in daylight. I've done it legally, quietly, and without touching a single person. He pauses. But none of it matters if you don't come back. My breath catches. Why? Because I don't want to protect you. I want to build a life with you. And I can't do that if you're not beside me. The words land in my chest like stones in still water. Heavy, irreversible, real. You said partnership, I whisper. I meant it. You said I could choose. You can, right now. Walk away, and I'll make sure your mother's housing is secure, that Burak stays far from Istanbul, that the Kanolu family never touches you again. You'll be free, safe, untouchable. And if I stay, his jaw tightens. If you stay, I'll give you everything I am. The good and the brutal, the iron and the flour, but you'll have to see all of it. The deals I make, the pressure I apply, the lines I walk. No more secrets. No more decisions made without you. That scares you, I say, reading his face. Terrifies me. Why? Because what if you see it all and decide I'm not worth it? The vulnerability in his voice cracks something open inside me. This man who owns half of Istanbul, who moves through the world like a force of nature, is standing in front of me at dawn, afraid I'll walk away. Alperen, I say softly. I've already seen it. The warehouse, the erasure, the cage you built because you didn't know how to love without controlling. I've seen it, and I'm still here. His eyes close. Sood, I'm angry at you. I'm furious. You made choices about my life without asking, and that's not something I'll forget. I step closer, close enough to touch. But I also know why you did it. I know about your cousin. I know you've been trying to save me the way you couldn't save her. That's not, it is. And you need to hear this. I'm not Elif. I'm not a ghost you're trying to resurrect. I'm here, alive, and I don't need saving. I need a partner who will stand beside me when the world gets ugly, who will ask before deciding, who will trust me to be strong enough to choose the iron and the flower both. His hand lifts, tentative, careful, and cups my face. His thumb traces my cheekbone, and I lean into the touch because I'm done pretending I don't want this. Done pretending his hands on my skin don't feel like coming home. Can you forgive me? He asks. I don't know yet, but I'm willing to try. That's more than I deserve. Probably. I cover his hand with mine. Now tell me how you're going to finish this. His smile is faint, dangerous, and absolutely devastating. Come with me and find out. We go to his office first. Erdem drives us in silence, and I sit beside Alperen in the back seat, his hand laced with mine on the leather between us. It's the first time he's held my hand without pretense, not to guide me out of a car, not to pull me close, just to hold, just to feel. The Kanolu play was always fragile, he says, as we cross the Bosphorus Bridge. Morning light glints off the water, turning it silver. They rely on leverage, not force, scandal, not violence. Which means if you expose the architecture, the bribes, the planted stories, the pressure on sources, the entire structure collapses. How do you expose it without more scandal, I ask. You don't expose it publicly. You expose it to the people who matter. The Port Authority, the Ministry of Trade, the banks. He glances at me. I spent the last 3 days collecting proof. Audit trails, recorded calls, bank transfers that show Deniz Kanolu paying tabloid editors. It's all there. And Burak? His jaw tightens. Burak was approached by a Kanolu intermediary. They offered him 50,000 lira to testify that I coerced you, that the bruise was... He stops, swallows. That it was my doing. Cold floods my veins. That's insane. That's leverage. If Burak testifies, it doesn't matter if it's true. The accusation alone would destroy my reputation, collapse my contracts, and bury you under an avalanche of speculation. He squeezes my hand. So I bought his silence. I pull my hand away. You what? I bought his silence, legally. A settlement agreement with an NDA. He gets enough money to start fresh in Antalya, double what the Kanolu family offered. And in exchange, he signs a document stating that the bruise was his doing, not mine, and that he was coerced by a third party to lie about it. You paid him. I paid him to tell the truth. The distinction is razor thin, but it's there. I stare at Alperen, trying to decide if this is another form of control or if it's the compromise he promised, the legal solution instead of the brutal one. Did you ask me first? I say quietly. He meets my gaze. No, and I should have. But Sudi, he called you 3 days ago. You told me yourself. If I'd waited, the Kanolu family would have locked him into a contract, and we'd have no defense. So you made a choice. I made a choice. And if you want to walk away because of it, I'll understand. I don't walk away, but I don't take his hand again either, not yet. The office feels different when we arrive, colder, sharper. I go to my desk and find the wilted tulip still there, petals brown at the edges. I pick it up, carry it to the small kitchen down the hall, and throw it in the trash. When I come back, there's a new one waiting. Fresh, red, perfect. I look up. Alperen is standing in his doorway, watching me. I'll keep bringing them, he says, until you tell me to stop. And if I never do, then I'll fill this office with flowers until you can't see the floor. Despite everything, despite the anger and fear and exhaustion, I smile. You're relentless, I say. Only about you. The final move happens at noon. Alperin schedules a meeting with the Port Authority, the Ministry of Trade, and 2 representatives from the Banking Oversight Committee. It's not public, it's not dramatic. It's just 5 men in expensive suits sitting in a conference room with stacks of documentation spread across the table. Alperin presents the evidence methodically. Bank transfers showing Kanolu payments to tabloid editors, recorded phone calls where Dennis discusses creating leverage, email chains that prove they planted the photograph and timed the article to coincide with a key contract negotiation. Then he presents Burak's signed statement. And finally, this is the part that makes my breath stop. He presents me. This is Sude Yilmaz, he says, my executive secretary, and the woman I intend to marry. The room goes silent. I stare at him. He doesn't look at me. He keeps his gaze on the men at the table, his expression carved from stone. The Kanolu family tried to weaponize our relationship, he continues. They assumed I would capitulate to avoid scandal. They were wrong. Sood and I are making our relationship public on our terms, not theirs. And I am formally requesting that the Port Authority and Ministry review all contracts involving Kanolu Holdings for ethics violations. One of the men, gray-haired, severe, leans back in his chair. This is highly irregular, Alperin Bey. So is extortion. And the woman? The man's gaze flicks to me. She agrees to this. I find my voice. I do. It's not entirely true. Alperin didn't ask me if I wanted to be paraded in front of government officials as his intended bride. He didn't ask if I was ready for our relationship to be official, public, binding. But I understand the strategy. By claiming me openly, he removes the scandal. By framing our relationship as honorable, engagement, marriage, legitimacy, he neutralizes the tabloid narrative. And by involving the ministry, he turns the Kanolu leverage into their liability. It's brilliant. It's also terrifying. The meeting lasts 2 hours. By the end, the Port Authority has agreed to audit Kanolu Holdings. The ministry has flagged 3 contracts for review. And the Banking Committee has opened an investigation into the payments. Denise Kanolu's leverage is gone. We walk out of the building into cold November sunlight. Alperin's hand finds the small of my back. And this time, I don't pull away. Marry you, I say, once we're in the car. Eventually, if you say yes. You didn't ask. I know, I'm asking now. He turns to face me, and his expression is stripped of all pretense. Sood, I'm asking now. Will you marry me? My heart pounds. You're asking because it was strategic. I'm asking because I love you. The words hit me like a wave. Love. He's never said it before, never even implied it. And now he's saying it in the back of a car, still wearing his armor, still holding himself together with iron will and control. Say it again, I whisper. I love you. I've loved you since the morning you brought me coffee and I saw the bruise, and I realized I would burn this city to the ground before I let anyone hurt you again. I love you, Sood. And I'm sorry it took me this long to say it. Tears blur my vision. You're an idiot. I know. You built a cage and called it safety. I know. And I'm still so angry at you. I know. His hand cups my face, and I'm crying now, ugly, messy tears that I don't try to hide. But do you love me? I close my eyes. Think about the tulips, the kiss, the way he says my name, the way he looked at me in the storm like I was the only solid thing in a world that wouldn't stop spinning. Yes, I whisper. God help me. Yes. He kisses me then, soft, reverent, nothing like the kiss in his office. This is a promise, a vow, a beginning. When we pull apart, I'm shaking. I need time, I say. I need to be sure that I'm choosing you, not the safety you offer, not the cage. You. Take all the time you need. And I need you to prove you can be a partner, that you can ask before deciding. I will. And if you ever orchestrate my life without my consent again, you'll leave. I know. His forehead presses to mine. I'll spend the rest of my life earning your trust, Sood. I swear it. The final piece arrives that evening. Alperin takes me to my mother's building, the one we're supposed to vacate by month's end. He parks outside, kills the engine, and hands me an envelope. Inside is a deed. Not a lease. A deed. The building, the entire building. Signed over to my mother's name. What? Your mother will never be at the mercy of a landlord again, he says quietly. She owns it now, free and clear. I stare at the paper, at my mother's name written in neat script, at the official stamps and signatures that make it real. This is too much, I whisper. It's not enough, but it's a start. Alperen, I'm not buying you, Suda. I'm not buying your forgiveness. I'm giving your mother security because she raised a woman strong enough to tell me when I'm wrong. That's worth more than a building. My throat tightens. You're trying to make me cry. Is it working? Yes, damn you. He smiles. Soft. Real. The first genuine smile I've seen from him in days. Good. Now let's go tell her. My mother cries. Of course she cries. She holds the deed in shaking hands and looks at Alperen like he's hung the moon. And he stands there, awkward, uncomfortable, while she thanks him in a torrent of Turkish too fast for me to follow. When she finally lets him go, she turns to me. You're going to marry him, she says. It's not a question. I don't know yet. Sood, he gave me a building. He's also a controlling, secretive man who made decisions about my life without asking. And he's here, isn't he, trying to fix it. She pats my cheek. No one's perfect, Kazım, but that man loves you, and love that shows up, love that tries. That's worth fighting for. We leave my mother's building as the call to prayer echoes across Üsküdar. Alperen drives this time. No Erdem, no buffer, just the two of us and the city glowing in the dusk. Where are we going, I ask. Somewhere I should have taken you from the beginning. He drives to the waterfront, parks near the old quay where ferries dock and fishermen cast lines into the Bosphorus. We get out, and he takes my hand. No hesitation, no pretense, and we walk along the water's edge. The air smells like salt and diesel and roasting chestnuts from a nearby cart. The sky is streaked with orange and violet, and the lights of the Asian shore are beginning to sparkle across the water. This is where I come when I need to think, he says. When the office feels like a cage and the contracts feel like chains. I come here and I remember why I started, what I'm building, who I want to be. And who's that? He stops, turns to face me. A man who deserves you. My breath catches. Alperen. I know I'm not there yet. I know I made mistakes. Massive, unforgivable mistakes. But I'm trying, Sood. I'm trying to be the man you need. Not just the man who protects you. The man who asks, who listens, who sees you as a partner, not a problem. I stare at him, this complicated, infuriating, beautiful man who dismantled my life and then put it back together wrong and is now standing here, vulnerable and raw, asking me to believe he can change. I'm scared, I admit. Of what? Of losing myself. Of waking up one day and realizing I've become small again, managed, grateful for crumbs. Then don't. He steps closer and his hands frame my face. Set boundaries. Tell me when I'm overstepping. Fight with me when I'm wrong. Build your life, Sood, with or without me in it. But build it loud. Build it visible. Build it so big that no one, including me, can make you disappear. Tears spill down my cheeks. You're making it very hard to stay angry at you. Good, I hate it when you're angry at me. Get used to it. If we do this, if I say yes, I'm going to be angry at you a lot. I can live with that. And I'm going to push back. Constantly. Every decision, every plan, every time you try to orchestrate my life without asking. I'm counting on it. And I'm not wearing a ring until I'm sure. Until I know in my bones that I'm choosing you, not the safety. Fair. And I break off because his mouth is so close to mine, and I can't think when he's this close. And he prompts, his voice rough. And you're going to have to work very, very hard to earn my trust back. I will, every day, for the rest of my life. He kisses me then, and it's different from every other kiss. It's not possession. It's not surrender. It's negotiation, give and take, push and pull, two people trying to find the shape of something real. When we pull apart, I'm breathless. I'm not ready to move back into the apartment yet, I say. That's fine. Take your time. And I'm not ready to tell anyone we're engaged. Not until I'm sure. Understood. And I want to go back to work tomorrow like nothing happened. No more flowers on my desk. No more tea that appears out of nowhere. Just work. He smiles. I can do that. Can you? Probably not, but I'll try. I laugh, surprising myself. and the sound echoes across the water. Alperen's expression softens, and he pulls me close, wraps his arms around me, and for the first time since the morning I saw the bruise, I let myself rest against him without fear. I love you, he murmurs into my hair. I know. Say it back. Not yet. Sued? You have to earn it. He pulls back, looks down at me with mock outrage. I gave your mother a building. That was a good start. What else do I have to do? I think about it. About the cage and the iron and the silk. About the way he looked at me in the storm. About the tulips and the tea and the hands that never hurt but didn't always ask. Just keep showing up, I say finally. Keep asking, keep trying, keep being the man who's terrified of losing me. I can do that, he says softly. That's the easiest thing you've ever asked me to do. We stay by the water until the sky turns black and the stars come out. We don't talk much. We just stand there, my back against his chest, his arms around my waist, watching the ferries cut slow lines through the Bosphorus. Eventually, he drives me home, to my mother's building, not the apartment, and walks me to the door. Tomorrow, he says, tomorrow, I'll bring you coffee, no flowers, just coffee. Just coffee. He kisses my forehead, my cheek, the corner of my mouth. And then he steps back, and I watch him walk to his car, this man who owns half of Istanbul, but who stood on a waterfront and admitted he was terrified of losing me. I go inside, climb the stairs to my mother's apartment, and I stand at the window looking out at the city, and I think, I was the girl who disappeared. I became the woman he would not let vanish. And now I'm choosing, not the iron, not the flower, but both. The protection and the freedom, the safety and the risk. I'm choosing him, and I'm choosing myself, and I do not disappear, not for anyone. The next morning, I arrive at the office at 7:50. There's no car waiting, no Erdem, just me and the ferry and the city waking up around me. I walk into the building, take the elevator to the 19th floor, and find Alperen already at his desk. He looks up when I enter, and the expression on his face is careful, hopeful. I set his coffee down, 2 inches from the edge, handle at 45 degrees. Good morning, I say. Günaydın, Sude. I turn to leave, and his voice stops me. Sude? I look back. Thank you, he says quietly, for coming back. I smile. Don't make me regret it. I won't. And as I walk back to my desk, I see it. A single tulip in a glass vase, tucked beside my computer. I should be annoyed. He promised no flowers, but the note beside it reads, "Only if you choose." I pick up the tulip, bring it to my nose, and I think, I choose. Not the cage, not the safety, not the iron or the silk. I choose us. And for once, the choice feels like power I own.